Welcome in. Thanks, Monique. Hi, Brian. Hi, Skrilla. Hi, Natalie. Hi, Justin. Hi, Brazy. Happy Wednesday. Hi, Robin. How's it going? Hi, Lemons. Thank you for the populars and the cozy cryptids. And Kim, thanks for the popular and the cozy cryptid. Robin, I love this dress. Thank you so much. So pretty. And you know what? They just put a clock symbol on the dress, which means it's not going to be a gift very much longer. Thanks, Robin. You're the best. Hi, Brian. Hi, Anthony. How you doing? I'm still sharing it out, you guys. So if you could share it out for me and repost it, that'd be great. Thank you. Lovely. I don't think so. What's happening? Why can't I see you in the chat? I don't even see that you're here. Hi, Stace. That's okay. Lovely. They probably won't even understand. I think you're in the wrong. That's so crazy. I would close it out and come back in. Lovely's texting me because we're not seeing the chat. She's not seeing our chat. She just commented, but she's hearing me in someone else's live. So that's really, and she's like, I need to find out who I just commented and I need to apologize. There you are. Hi. That is so weird. I've heard of that happening before. And so she just texted me and was like, did you see any of my comments? I was like, no. Welcome in, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Thank you to those of you who joined me today for Witchy Wednesday. And if you weren't able to, no big deal. That's okay. Yeah, isn't Merlin so cute? Hi, Carrie. Oh, thanks, Dace. Isn't he cute? I love him. Oh, thanks, Beefy. Oh, Anthony. I was inviting you for a while, but I stopped doing it because I feel like you never came. And I was like, I feel like I'm bothering him during a hard time. Hi, Guinevere. Hi, Snow. Welcome in. Oh, Conehead, I'm sorry to hear that. Hi, Cassie. And it doesn't mean you're weak just because you have a condition. That doesn't make you weak. Thank you for the hand hearts, Erica. Yeah, town car. YT, you have to have, I even get ads. I don't have premium either. So yeah, unless you pay for premium, it's kind of like having like Hulu or Netflix with ads or without ads. It's like, yeah, it's the same thing now. They turned into a streaming service basically. So I sit through the ads as well. Yeah, it's I get it. It sucks. I know. Everything's a paid subscription now. But I actually don't mind the ads. It gives me good patience, and I'm usually asleep by the time they pop up, so. But I'm also on the, what's it called? All the other podcast streaming sites too. And so depending on if you have any of those, I don't know how those work in terms of which ones are free and which ones are paid, premiums or whatever, because we don't make money off the premiums or anything like that. Yeah, there should be a couple of them. Scroll. You pass out after it, Lily? Which one? I do my best to stay alive as much as I can when the nerve pain gets worse. Oh, yeah, that makes sense. Hi, Freedom. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore, and you'll find me. Oh yeah, Viola. I wish I could I don't know. I wish there was a way to outlaw the loud ones. It's really annoying. Feel free to write your story requests in all capital letters in the chat, and I'll write them down, and I'll set up the first poll, and then we will vote. Thank you for reposting the little yellow circle with the 2 arrows chasing each other. That puts the live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. Also, sharing your stories and sharing with your friends helps too. I'll write down your requests, and I'll be right back. Robin, nothing's changed. I haven't changed the volume on anything. Hi, Shorty. Thank you, Raven Moon. I love that. Thank you, Pixie Cat. Thank you, Amy. Lovely. Where are you going? Hi, Shannon. Yes, Shorty, I do need to check it out. For sure. All right, you guys, I'm going to set up the first poll with your story requests. Hi, Bud. Hi, Possum. Hi, Lovely. And if you guys could do me a big favor while I'm setting up that first poll, if you could hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow our beautiful porch. I'm going to set up the first poll. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. All right, you guys, the first poll is ready. We have the fairy trees. Hi, Jesse. Thanks for the rose. Hi, Zane. Sorry I missed your comments earlier. I would never ignore you, Jesse. I love you. Okay, so we have the fairy trees. We have the black dog of Hanging Hills. We have the last American vampire. We have Haint Blue. And we have Poplar Creek. Who's it gonna be? You can vote in the top left-hand corner, and you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. I know, I know. Zane. By the way, guys, Zane Thomas is one of my real-life friends, too. I love him so much. He's the best. Oh, don't worry, Freedom. We do a bunch of polls all night long. Which one did you want to hear? Because I write them all down, but I don't write like who requests them. It's a cool name, right, Lovely? Yes, I did. Thanks, Lovely. Who's it going to be, you guys? Hi, Skrilla. Who's it going to be? Fairy Trees, Black Dog, Last American Vampire, Haint Blue, and Poplar Creek. Hi, Neil. Okay, yeah, Freedom. Don't worry. It'll be on there. Thank you, Bone and Branch, for the beautiful dress. And Neil, thank you for the Martian hand hearts. I love that dress. Me too, Lovely. I think it's my new favorite. Tames, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. Tersha, good morning in South Africa. It's pretty, right, Skrilla? I like it too. It's pretty. All right, you guys, the winner of the poll is the fairy trees. Thank you, Pittsburgh Penny. Thanks, Raven Moon. It was good, Neil. How about you? Gabriel. Oh, Anthony, I'm glad you're back. Paul, thank you. All the way from Yorkshire. I appreciate it. Hi, Logo. I enjoy all kinds of spooky stories. Just saying, opinion. You figured out how to vote? Yay. I believe you, Bone and Branch. I believe you. They've saved my cat, too. From a hawk. Oh, thanks, Mamasaurus. Those were cute. All right, guys. I'll be right back with the news story of the week. The fairy trees. So grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. I prefer monsters, Logo. Ghosts are just humans. Hey, Robin, is that any better with the music? Thank you, Dennis. It's good with your headphones, Mamasaurus? Okay, cool. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the fairy trees. Now, Gabriel, Witchy Wednesdays is during the day. It was for 3 hours earlier today. Oh, thank you so much, Kelly. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you, Jed. Thank you, Zane. This is the new story of the week, and I chose this topic. It is near and dear to me. I am an elemental witch, and this is actually folklore from my ancestors. And so this is a very special story to me, and I hope you guys like it. I picked a topic that I thought maybe you guys wouldn't know. Did you just hear my water bottle go? I picked a topic that I thought you guys might not know yet, and some of you might, but enjoy. There are some places in the world where people will move mountains to build a road. And then there are places where people will move the road to avoid a single tree. Not because of engineering, and not because of convenience, but because of something older, something whispered about for centuries, something living between folklore and fear. The belief that some trees are not just trees. They are homes, doorways, places where the unseen world touches our own. For centuries across the forests and fields of Ireland, Scotland, England, and even parts of Appalachia, people have believed that some trees are not simply trees. They are something more. They are places where the human world touches something unseen. And they are known as fairy trees. And some of these trees are believed to be even more mysterious. And those are referred to as portal trees. Living doorways that connect our world to the hidden realms beyond our own. Today, many people pass these trees without a second thought. Oh my God, CJ. They see twisted branches, ancient trunks, and strange shapes created by centuries of wind and weather. But for generations before us, those same trees were treated with reverence, respect, and sometimes even fear. Because according to old folklore, these trees belong to beings that lived just beyond human sight. Thank you, Dennis. The stories of the fairy trees began centuries ago, at a time when people lived much closer to the natural world than we do now. They believed that the world was filled with unseen forces. Rivers had spirits. Mountains had personalities. Storms had moods. And certain places were sacred. And the forests were not simply collections of trees. They were places where the boundary between the known and the unknown became thin. Across Ireland and Scotland, people spoke of a hidden realm that existed alongside our own. A mysterious world inhabited by beings often called the fair folk, or the fae. But these were not the tiny, cheerful fairies of modern children's stories. The fae of ancient tradition were powerful elemental entities. The fair folk were called fair for a reason. They were viewed as the keepers of natural balance, the primordial form of justice. And they became angered when humans disrespected the natural world. And among the places where these beings were believed to gather were certain unusual trees. Sometimes it would be hundreds of years old, with branches twisted into strange shapes. And people would wonder why. Skrill. Why had this one tree survived when everything around it had changed? Why did storms not destroy it? Why did generations of people continue to leave it standing? The answer, according to the folklore, was that the tree was protected. It was a home, a meeting place, a doorway. Thank you, Queen Cece. Thanks, Mackenzie. And it belonged to the fairies. Farmers would carefully plow around these trees rather than cut them down. Raver, right? That's a good one. And farmers would carefully plow around these trees rather than cut them down, and roads were sometimes redirected just to avoid them. Some of these special trees became known as portal trees, and according to folklore, those certain trees could act as doorways between the worlds. Hollow trees, twisted trees, trees with what appeared to be a doorway. Stories developed about people who entered these strange openings and experienced impossible things. Stories of people who disappeared for what seemed like only minutes, only to discover that hours, days, or even years had passed. The idea of lost time is one of the most common themes in fairy folklore. The belief was that the fairy realm did not follow the same rules as our world and that time behaved differently there. But perhaps one of the most fascinating traditions surrounding portal trees was their connection to healing. For centuries, people across parts of Britain, Europe, and Appalachia believed that certain trees had the power to remove illness. One old practice involved passing a sick child through an opening or a split in the tree. The belief was that the sickness would be left behind inside the tree while the child would emerge healed. The tree became a bridge between sickness and health, between the old ways and the new. Of all the warnings surrounding fairy trees, one became the most well-known. Never cut one down. Respect the trees, respect the land, respect the mysteries you do not understand. But fairy trees are not just a tradition from the distant past. Travel through parts of Ireland, Scotland, and Appalachia, and you will still find trees decorated with ribbons, coins, flowers, and small offerings. People still visit them. Some leave wishes, some leave gifts. Some simply stand beneath their branches and appreciate the history surrounding them. A reminder that the world is older and stranger than we often remember. When you first hear about fairy trees, it's easy to assume they are just stories people tell children. Tiny creatures hiding beneath roots in the magical forests. Old legends from a world that no longer exists. But the more you research them, you realize something strange. People didn't just tell these stories. They changed their lives because of them. Across Ireland and parts of Scotland, certain lone hawthorn trees became surrounded by stories of fairy folk. And not the cute, harmless creatures from children's fairy tales. The older legends described something much more complicated. Thank you, Deborah. The fairies were powerful, capable of blessing a person or ruining their life. They were not creatures you invited in. They were beings you respected. And above all else, you did not disturb their homes. That belief became so deeply rooted that farmers avoided cutting certain trees even when the tree stood alone in the middle of a valuable field. People would just plow around them. They would leave them untouched for generations, because removing one was believed to invite disaster. A sick child, a failed harvest, a streak of terrible luck. But what fascinated me most wasn't just the older stories. It was what happened when our modern world collided with them. Because even today, there are roads built around these special trees. Construction projects are rerouted. Machines are stopped. Plans are redesigned. All because someone looked at a single tree and decided, nah, we're not cutting that one down. Perhaps the mystery of fairy trees isn't only about whether supernatural beings truly live among the branches. Perhaps the deeper mystery is why humans across so many cultures have always looked at certain trees and felt that they were special. Maybe it's because an ancient tree is already something magical. It can stand for hundreds of years. It can survive storms that destroy everything around it. It can grow from a tiny seed into something that outlives countless generations. It witnesses births, deaths, war, celebrations, and forgotten moments in history. A tree remembers a world that no human alive today has ever seen. And trees are in fact vital to survival of the human race. Maybe that's why in ancient times, they were revered. And maybe that is why people believed some trees were doorways. Because standing beneath the branches of an ancient tree, feeling the vibration of the earth and the breeze on your skin, it's easy to imagine that there is more to this world than we can see with our eyes. That somewhere beyond the roots and the leaves, hidden just beyond the edge of human understanding, there may still be places where the old stories are waiting. Places where the boundary between the worlds grows thin. And perhaps somewhere deep in the woods near you, there are still trees that are not just trees. They are guardians, gateways, reminders that the world still holds mysteries we have yet to uncover. And that's the tale of the fairy trees. Welcome in, everybody. My name's Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Thank you for the Earthling Heart, Bitch Boo. Thank you for the Earthling Heart, Viola. Thanks for the Cozy Cryptids, Priscilla and Millie and Lisa. Fran, thanks for the rose. All right, you guys, I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. Oh, thank you, Maleficent. I appreciate that. If you guys could do me a big favor, if you could hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner, there is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts the live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, sharing to your stories and sharing with your friends helps too. Thank you to everybody tapping the screen, and I'll be right back with the next poll. Hi, Crystal. Thank you. How you doing, cutie? Thank you, Chaparita. Hi, Homer. Welcome in. We're about to vote on the next story. Thanks for being here. Welcome to the porch. All right, you guys, the next poll is ready. We have the Snallygaster, the Pukwudgies, La Lechusa, the Drowned Bell, and the Wrong Turn. You can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner. Thank you, Holy Smoke Squirrel Dad. You can vote in the top left-hand corner. There's a blue box, and you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Who's it going to be? We have the Snallygaster, the Pukwudgies, La Lechusa, the Drowned Bell, and the Wrong Turn. Skrella, do you? You can vote for both. Lovely. You said, do I? No, Mushroom. Drowned Bell is, it's an old story. Lovely. Which one do you want to hear more? Because neither of them are going to win. And the winner is La Lechusa. I'll be right back. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. And if you guys could do me a big favor, could you hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner? And then there's a little yellow circle with two arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that yellow circle puts the live into your friends' FYPs. And it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Hi, Lonnie. Also, sharing to your stories, which is the little circle with like a twinkle in it, also helps. Skrilla, you've clearly never heard that story, or you would not ask that. They almost kill me in that story. So, no. Yeah, everybody literally doesn't like that story because it's the only story I ever wrote myself getting hurt, and nobody liked it. They didn't vote. They were like, don't do that again. I was like, okay. I won't get hurt again. Oh, Lovely says he does remind me of a Pukwudgie. Damn. know, Skrilla, some people just don't like the idea of me being hurt. Weirdo. Alright, guys, I'll be right back with La Lechusa. Oh, thank you, Tiny Trace, for the beautiful window. And thank you, Whitney. Oh, Robin. Look at Lily. Robin, you were gone, but I turned the music up. So I think it should sound better. Thank you for the Lily the leopard. What happened, Eilish? Hi, Tommy. Does anybody remember if La Lechusa has banshee music? Oh, lovely. Lovely. Oh, corn chomps. Wait, did I get corn? Oh, I did. Thanks, Viola. Thank you, James. I knew you would know. I was like, is James here? James knows all of the songs that go with my stories. And it does actually make a difference usually because they're timed to the music, kind of like the way they're paced. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of La Lechusa. Thank you, Heather. And Logo, to answer your question, Mothman is my favorite. Sweet dreams, Skrilla. Yes, Brooke, on YT they asked me who my favorite monster is. Yes, you are, Skrilla. I never understood why the desert around El Paso felt heavier at night than any forest I have ever camped in. There was something about the wide open spaces and the way the heat clung to the ground long after sunset. When I came to visit my friend Paulo, I expected our weekend to be full of margaritas, food trucks, maybe a tour across the border to see some markets. I didn't expect to walk straight into one of the oldest and most terrifying pieces of Mexican folklore that I'd ever read about. It started the first night I arrived, though I didn't recognize it then. Paulo insisted that I stay with her instead of some downtown hotel, and her little adobe house sat right at the edge of the Franklin Mountains. The sky out there stretched wider than my entire sense of scale. A solid sheet of indigo, with only the lights of Juarez flickering on the horizon. Paulo had warned me that the mountains could get loud at night, with the wind rattling the mesquite and the coyotes yipping in the distance. But nothing about her tone suggested that anything out there should frighten me. Nikki, Paula's starting her new show next week. I'm very excited. I've been helping her with that. Still, that first night, I couldn't sleep. The air felt too still for a place where wind was supposed to be the main soundtrack. I remember lying there, blinking up at the ceiling fan, when I heard it. The faintest scrape against the stucco wall outside. I told myself it was probably a branch, or maybe an animal. But something about the rhythm felt off. I held my breath and I waited. A moment later, a second, sharper scrape cut through the silence. I sat up slowly, telling myself I wasn't scared, I was just curious. But then a third sound, a soft, muffled thud hit the wall, and the floorboards seemed to vibrate beneath my feet. I swung my legs out of bed and I tiptoed to the window, lifting the edge of the curtain just enough to peek outside. The yard was empty and the moon hung low over the mountains, its pale glow stretching across the dust like a washed out painting. There she is. There's Paulo. Nothing moved, yet the sensation that something had been there clung to me. I didn't see her that first night, but I felt her. Some part of me knew that scrape hadn't been a branch. The next morning, Paula greeted me with her usual warmth, completely unaware that anything strange had happened to me. I didn't mention the noises. I didn't want to sound paranoid. Instead, we spent the day exploring downtown El Paso. I let the sunlight and the bustling streets distract me. We wandered past murals exploding with color, browsed through markets selling glass-eyed milagros and handmade dolls, and ate food so good it made your eyes water. For a while, I forgot about the scraping. Later that afternoon, just before sunset, Paula suggested we take a drive past the outskirts toward the old mission trail. She said she wanted to show me something beautiful. The desert when it softened, when the sky burned pink and the acatillos looked like skeletal torches. As we headed east, the neighborhoods thinned into stretches of open land. Abandoned buildings dotted the horizon, remnants of ranches long surrendered to time. The mountains glowed copper in the fading sun, and the desert wind hummed low through the brush. Everything seemed perfect until the birds stopped. It's easy to not really notice birds until they go completely silent. 1 minute, I could hear their distant trilling, the flutter of wings somewhere overhead. And then, everything sank into a stillness so sudden it prickled every inch of my skin. Even Paulo paused. The sky felt too open. And then came the shape. At first, I thought it was a hawk. A large one, bigger than one I'd ever seen, but not impossible. It swept over the road in a slow arc, its wings stretching wide against the glowing sky. But something about the motion felt wrong. It glided with this smooth, unnatural grace. The creature swooped lower, and for a brief moment, the setting sun hit it at just the right angle. And what I saw made my stomach drop. The wings were feathered, but the body was too long and too thick to belong to a bird of prey. And the head wasn't avian at all. It was human. Not entirely, more like the elongated silhouette of a woman's face stretched across something unnatural. The eyes were enormous and glistening against the sky. La lechuza. I had read the warnings only once years ago when I fell down a rabbit hole on Borderland folklore. Witches who sold their souls for revenge or power. Women who transformed into giant owls with human faces, hunting those who wronged them or anyone unlucky enough to cross their path. No one saw them without being marked. I had laughed it off at the time, but now watching that impossible creature glide silently above the desert, I understood why generations had feared her. As soon as we passed beneath her shadow, the air inside the car buzzed with electricity. I didn't say anything to Paulo. I didn't need to. She had grown up hearing stories about what flew in these deserts at night. She knew exactly what we had seen. The creature didn't vanish. Instead, it followed us, Not close enough to attack, just close enough to watch. I could feel its gaze heavy and deliberate, like the sensation of something stalking you. Every instinct screamed to me to get inside, anywhere, with walls. But the road stretched on through miles of open desert. By the time we reached Paulo's house again, the sky had turned a deep violet. She said, "Yeah, I did." The creature had disappeared somewhere behind the mountains, but the sense of being followed clung to me. Paulo tried to shake it off, pretending that it was not a big deal. But the way she double-latched the door behind us told me otherwise. That night, I didn't even try to sleep. I laid awake listening to the desert breathe, to the wind pushing against the corners of the house. Every sound felt amplified. The tick of the ceiling fan, the water heater, the shifting of my own blankets. A few moments later, something tapped at the window again. Not softly, more like the sharp rap of bone knocking against glass. I laid there frozen, staring into the darkness. The tapping came again, and then a shadow passed over the blinds, wide and unmistakably winged. I forced myself to sit up and steady my breath. My curiosity has always been my undoing. So slowly I approached the window, my hand trembling as I reached for the cord. Before I could touch it, the tapping stopped and the shadow lifted, and the rustling wings receded into nothing. Thank you, Sandy. I stayed awake until dawn, sitting cross-legged on the floor. The next day, we tried spending the day in town, hoping the crowds would make us feel a little safer, but by the time late afternoon rolled around, we were both feeling on edge. That evening, Paula suggested we stay somewhere else, anywhere else. A hotel downtown, a friend's couch, even her cousin's ranch in the outskirts of Las Cruces. She didn't care, as long as it wasn't her house. She said the air there felt like we shouldn't be there, and I agreed. We gathered our bags quickly. And we stepped outside to leave. The desert stretched silently in all directions, the sun sinking behind the mountains. For a moment, I allowed myself to believe that maybe we had beaten her, that the creature wouldn't strike in daylight, that leaving the property meant breaking whatever hold she had formed. But then I saw the feathers on Paulo's car. 3 long white feathers that glistened in the setting sun. I reached out to touch them and they vibrated in my hand. Somewhere far off, a single coyote called out in short, abrupt yep and then nothing. And Paula whispered for me to get in the car. I could hear the fear in her voice. She shoved the key into the ignition and the car sputtered to life. I clutched the feathers, unable to let go of them even though every instinct screamed at me that they were a curse. We pulled out of the driveway just as the first shadow moved across the sand. I saw it out of the corner of my eye first. a swift gliding shape cutting through the air with impossible speed. The sun had almost vanished behind the mountains, turning the sky a bruised red. And against the backdrop, the creature's silhouette stood out clearly. Massive wings, long contorted body, and that awful, uncanny face. Half woman and half owl. La Lechuza had been waiting for us to step outside. She swooped low, trailing her shadow across the road. Paula floored the gas, and the tires kicked up dust and gravel. I twisted in my seat, watching the creature circle overhead. Once we reached the freeway, I thought maybe we had escaped. The open road, the bright lights of the city growing larger. Surely she wouldn't follow us into civilization, right? But as we reached the first street lamps, I saw her again, perched on the highway sign, wings folded neatly, face staring directly at our car. She watched us pass beneath her with a stillness so absolute it made my breath hitch. When we reached downtown, Paula parked the car in a garage near a hotel. We checked in quickly and locked ourselves inside a 9th floor room. I remember leaning against the door after the deadbolt clicked, thinking we'd broken whatever tether that she had cast. But I was wrong. That night, as the city buzzed beneath us, the wind rose subtly, brushing against the window. Then came the scraping, slow and methodical, right outside the window. 9 floors up. Thank you, Phyllis. My stomach lurched. I turned my head slowly, terrified at what I might see, but also terrified of missing it. A shadow passed over the curtains. My pulse hammered, and I approached the window, drawn by a mixture of terror and fascination. I knew I shouldn't look. I knew that seeing her face, truly seeing it, would brand me. But I had to understand. Thank you, Brooke. So I reached for the window. My fingers curled around the edge of the curtain. The scraping ceased and the silence thickened. And then I pulled back the curtain. She wasn't on the windowsill. She wasn't clinging to the glass. She wasn't perched on the ledge like a gargoyle. She was hovering, wings spread wide, body suspended in defiance of physics, eyes locked directly on me. Her face was horrifying, a fusion of woman and owl. And she shifted her head subtly as though she was studying me. The silence deepened, and then she lifted one clawed hand, and something dangled from it. An object so small and ordinary took me a moment to recognize that it was one of the feathers from Paulo's car. She held it toward the window, almost offering it to me, and as she pressed it against the glass, the feather dissolved instantly into ash. When the ash settled, I saw that she had written a symbol, 3 interlocking shapes, a mark that we had seen earlier carved into the abandoned ranch that we passed. It was a witch's sigil, ancient and powerful. It wasn't a threat, it was a claim. She had followed us because we had stepped into her hunting ground. And she was curious. I stumbled back, and Paulo grabbed my arm. Lala Chusa watched us silently, and she didn't blink. She didn't breathe. She simply hovered there. I don't know what she wanted or how to break the curse, but she seemed like she had marked us. And I understood one thing. You don't escape a witch owl by running. You escape her by paying whatever debt she believes you owe. And I still don't know what we owe. But I'm sure she will come back to collect. And that's the tale of Lala Chusa, featuring Paulo. Thank you, Michelle. Thank you, Brooke. Oh, thank you so much, Daza. I love it. Daz, are you going live after me tonight? Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I am here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Perfect. We're raiding him. Make sure you follow Scream Queen now if you want to join us in the raid at the end of the night. Thank you, guys. He plays vintage spooky radio after my live, and it's really fun. All right, guys, I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote. If you could do me a big favor, could you hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner? There is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, sharing to your stories and sharing with your friends and tapping helps too. Thank you to everybody tapping tonight. I appreciate it. And I'll be right back with the next poll. Welcome to the porch. Love you, Paulo. Thank you so much, Jamie. I love that dress. Okie doke, Paulo. Love you. See you later. Thanks, Jamie. All right, you guys, the next poll is right. Oh, thanks, Brooke. I love that dress. It's so pretty every time, I know. Isn't it? It's so pretty. Thank you so much. All right, you guys. The next poll is ready, and we have Booger Hollow. Brooke, you're so cute because it's so pretty. We have Booger Hollow, Dead Children's Playground, Poplar Creek, the Snallygaster, and the Door in the Water. You can vote in the top left-hand corner. In the blue box, you can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Who's going to be the winner, guys? Cody, thanks for your first gift. And the winner is the Dead Children's Playground. Congrats, Brooke. Oh, hi, Jessica. Thank you. That's so cute. Thanks. Oh, thank you, Jamie. Thank you for helping me with my gift gallery. I really appreciate that. Thank you. Those are so beautiful. I love how they start with a feather. Oh, Brooke, you're sweet. Jessica, I love that cat. It's so cute. All right, you guys, I'll be right back with the playground. And while I'm getting that ready, feel free to hit that share arrow and repost the live. That puts the live into your friends' FYPs and it helps us grow. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the Dead Children's Playground. I know, Zoe. You really have perfect timing. I've noticed that. The first time I heard about the Dead Children's Playground in Huntsville, Alabama, it wasn't from a travel guide or a ghost hunting show. It came from a porch pal named Ashley. Zoe, you're so cute. She sent me an email about it, and she even went out of her way to post pictures of it on our Porch Lore Discord page. So, I had to check it out for myself. The drive down to Alabama was beautiful. I truly love cruising through our beautiful countryside. After a very long drive, I made it to my Airbnb. It was walking distance from the playground, so it would be easy for me to investigate and film content. The playground sits beside Maple Hill Cemetery, one of the oldest burial grounds in Alabama. Locals say that at night, the swings move on their own, even when the air is still. They say children's laughter can be heard long after the park is supposed to be empty. The story goes that spirits of children buried nearby come out to play after dark. The first day I was there, I decided to go for a walk around the neighborhood. There were a lot of historical things in the area, not just the cemetery. Plus, I thought it'd be better to check out the cemetery at night. The Alabama sun was high, flattening shadows and bleaching the color out of everything. Thank you, Jess. Thank you, LK. As I walked around, I noticed a little girl. She was walking down the sidewalk on her own. Thanks, Jess. It looked like she had a fresh scrape on her knee, and I could see blood. She was hurt, and she looked upset and lost. I approached her calmly and asked if she was okay and if her parents were nearby. But she didn't answer. The scrape on her knee wasn't serious, but it needed to be cleaned. I checked my phone for signal, already thinking about calling the police. But there was just something about her. About how she stood there trembling and upset. And my maternal instincts kicked in. I knew that as soon as I dropped her off at the police station, she'd probably be held in some back room until they could locate her parents or until child services came to get her. So I decided to help first and report it second. I chose humanity over avoiding liability. So I asked her if she would let me clean off her boo-boo at my house across the street. Zoe, damn kid. That way I could also give her something to eat and drink before I take her to the police station. Hi, Vampire Helly. She looked at me, smiled, and reached her tiny little hand out for me to grab it. And then she followed me, holding my hand without any hesitation. Yeah, see, Matt? There it was, in a nice way. The walk to the Airbnb wasn't long, but I kept glancing at her to see if she was still okay. I am not a mother, and I was panicking about keeping this little girl safe in my care. She walked with perfect, poised posture without saying a word, her gaze fixed straight ahead. We got to the house and I cleaned her knee with a damp cloth and antiseptic from the Airbnb's first aid kit. She didn't flinch. She didn't even react at all. The cut looked recent, but almost like it hadn't happened today, like it had been reopened instead. I wrapped it up and then I gave her something to eat. Cheese with crackers and some strawberries. As she nibbled at her snacks, I tried to get any information I could out of her. Names, a street, a school, anything. But still, she said nothing. And and I decided that there was no reason to wait any longer. A lost child, no identification, not responding. It needed to be reported. So I told her that we were going to the police station and that someone there would help us find her parents. And that was the first time she reacted. It wasn't dramatic, no crying, no resistance, just a shift in her shoulders, like she was very uneasy. The station wasn't far. I parked out front and I turned to her, and I explained gently that we would go inside together and that everything would be okay. But she didn't move. I tried again, softer this time, reassuring her. Still nothing. Yeah, good night, Vampire Helly. The tension in her small frame felt absolute. She was refusing to get out of the car. And I didn't want to force her. I don't know anything about this little girl or what she's been through. So, I went inside alone and I explained the situation to the officer at the front desk. A young girl, injured, unresponsive, possibly lost. I asked if someone could come out and help me convince her to get out of the car. The officer agreed and we walked back together. I reached for the door handle, already turning to try to explain her behavior, her silence, her fear. But then I looked inside, and the back seat was empty. My car was empty. She had ran. She was gone. The officer checked the surrounding lot, the sidewalk, even behind the building. There was nothing. There was nowhere she could have gone in the time it took me to step inside. Eventually, the police took down a description of her and they told me they'd keep an eye out. Evening came slowly, the sky shifting from pale gold and pink to a deepening blue. I had driven across town just to run a few errands and pick up some dinner. And that's when I noticed her. The little girl. She was just walking down the sidewalk, looking terrified and lost. Relief hit me at first, and then confusion. How did she get this far from the police station so quickly? I stopped my car beside her and I rolled down the window and I asked her how I could help. I told her that I just wanted to help her find her parents. She smiled, nodded, and hopped right back in the car. The sun was setting at this point. The roads grew quieter as we moved away from the center of town. Her directions coming not in words, but in small gestures. Subtle turns of her head, slight movements of her hand. But it was enough for me to follow. Streetlights flickered on one by one. The sky darkened. The houses thinned out, replaced by stretches of trees and shadow. And then I realized we had arrived at the entrance to Maple Hill Cemetery. The iron gates silhouetted against the last light of dusk. I parked, and we sat there in silence. And then I looked past her at the rows of the headstones disappearing into the dark. And I saw two figures standing there as if they were waiting for her. She leaned over and gave me a sweet little hug, and her skin was ice cold, especially for a little girl who had been walking all day in the Alabama sun. Then she hopped out and walked towards the edge of the playground where it met the first row of graves. pretty much, Zoe. I only saw the silhouettes of the two figures that I believed to be her parents in the blinding glow of the setting sun. I put my hand up to shield my eyes from the sun to get a better look. And the little girl and her parents were gone. I got out and walked the entire grounds of that playground and cemetery looking for them, looking for any sign that other living people had been there, and I found nothing. I don't know why that little girl's lost spirit chose me, but I hope being reunited with her parents helped them all move on. And that's the tale of the Dead Children's Playground. Thanks for the follow, Thela. Welcome to the porch. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep better. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you'll find me. I also have all the links in my bio. Oh, thank you, Thela. I really appreciate that. And I'm actually a professional storyteller, so no worries. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, Jamie. Oh, Scream Queen, it was like cloudy and rainy here anyway, so. Trash Panda, thank you for the follow. Oh, you just got home, Tommy? Nice. All right, guys, welcome in. And if you could do me a big favor, I'm going to set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. 13 hours, whoa. Yeah, Trash Panda, are you friends with Jimothy? Can we meet him? All right, I'm going to set up the next poll. Could you guys do me? Yeah, I did. I beat you to it, Justin. Could you guys hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner? And there's a little yellow circle with two arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs. And it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. And also, yes, it's the Perseids meteor shower, but it started in July. Thank you, Jamie. But the Perseids meteor shower started at the end of July, and it goes until like towards the end of August, but it peaks in the next 4 days. No, Zoe, I've never read that. Yeah, he's called Leon. Isn't that cute? All right, guys, I'm setting up the next poll. Thanks for reposting. You can also unpost and re-repost. Thank you for sharing to your stories, sharing with your friends, and thank you for tapping. I'll be right back so we can vote. Good question, lovely. All right, you guys, the next poll is ready. We have the water babies. Oh, thank you, Gavin. Thank you, Mac. Thank you, Black and Brown. All right, you guys, we have the water babies, the door in the water, Poplar Creek, the marsh light. Good night, Gavin. And Eliza Crawford's ghost. Sweet dreams, Gavin. Thanks, Matt. All right, guys, you can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner. We have the water babies. We have the door in the water. We have Poplar Creek. We have the marsh light. And we have Eliza Crawford's ghost. You can vote by clicking the blue box in the top left-hand corner. And you can vote up to 50 times. Celia, I would swipe out and come back in. Sometimes it does that to people randomly and then it shows back up. This app is so unpredictable. Yeah, it's not only you that it's happened to. Don't worry, Celia. Yeah, Rochelle, that's what I was trying to do. Hi, Bifrost. Hi, Boone. Hi, Loudmouth. Thank you, Bryce. Thank you, Gwen. Thank you, Starlight. And the winner is Eliza Crawford's Ghost. Lovely. Love you. I hope you feel better, Lovely. All right, the winner is Eliza Crawford's Ghost. I will be right back with the tale of Eliza Crawford's Ghost. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax. And welcome to the porch. Thank you for the follow, Bifrost. Thank you, Jerry. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the ghost who solved her own murder. Thank you, CSS Smith. The small Appalachian town of Green Hollow was quiet, nestled in the hills of West Virginia. It was the kind of place where everyone knew each other, and secrets rarely stayed hidden for long. An unsolved murder had left its mark on the land and the memories of those who lived there. It was the story of Eliza Crawford, a young woman found dead under mysterious circumstances in the winter of 1897. Her death had been ruled an accident, but whispers of foul play persisted. Some claimed that Eliza's spirit still roamed the hills, but the strangest part of the tale was not just that her ghost lingered. It was that she, from beyond the grave, had a hand in solving the very crime that took her life. The day Eliza Crawford died was bitterly cold. The kind of cold that steeped through your skin and settled deep into your bones. She had left her family's farmhouse early in the morning to visit her cousin Margaret, who lived across the valley. Eliza was only 23, and she was known for her kindness, quick wit, and beauty. Her auburn hair stood out against the snow as she trudged along the path, her breath visible in the crisp air. But she never made it to Margaret's house. It wasn't until nightfall, when her father Jacob Crawford returned home from town, that they realized she was missing. A search party was quickly organized, lanterns bobbing through the dark, as men and women called her name into the freezing night. It was her brother Samuel who found her body. She lay at the bottom of a steep ravine, her limbs twisted unnaturally, her face pale in the moonlight. The doctor was summoned, but his verdict was quick. Eliza had slipped on the icy rocks and fallen to her death. A tragic accident. But something about the scene didn't sit right with Samuel or Margaret. Eliza had walked that path many times. She knew the terrain way too well to simply fall. But the doctor's word was final, and the town moved on. Thank you, Shock. Eliza was buried in a small cemetery on the hill beneath a weeping willow tree. Her death, while mourned, was accepted by most as an unfortunate twist of fate. Except for one person, and that was Margaret. Margaret was the first to notice something was wrong. 3 nights after Eliza's funeral, she woke in the middle of the night to a strange sound, like footsteps on the hardwood floor outside her bedroom. At first, she thought it was her imagination, but then came the whisper. Margaret. The voice was unmistakable. It was Eliza. Margaret shot up in bed, her heart pounding. She called out into the dark, but no answer came. The house was still, and the only sound was the wind howling outside, rattling the windows. The next morning, good night, Brooke. Margaret told her mother, but Mrs. Blackwell dismissed it as grief playing tricks on her daughter's mind. Yet, the whispers continued, each night growing a little louder, a little clearer. Margaret, help me. Disturbed but determined, Margaret went to Samuel. He was skeptical at first, but he agreed to visit Eliza's grave with her. When they arrived, Margaret felt a chill that went beyond the winter wind. And as they stood in front of Eliza's headstone, Margaret heard again, "Help me." The voice was faint but unmistakable, and Samuel heard it too. His face went pale as he glanced at Margaret. Eliza was trying to tell them something. After that day, Samuel and Margaret returned to the grave frequently, hoping for more clues, more whispers. But Eliza's voice remained elusive. Thank you, also very ordinary. Thanks, Jessica. It wasn't until a week later, when Margaret was walking alone in the woods near the ravine where Eliza had died, that she experienced the most chilling encounter. As she approached the spot where Eliza's body had been found, the air grew thick with electricity as if the atmosphere was charged. The world around her seemed to blur, and for a moment, Margaret thought she might faint. But instead of collapsing, she saw something. A vision. Faint. Like a memory replaying itself before her eyes. Eliza was there, standing at the edge of the ravine. She wasn't alone. A man was with her. Margaret couldn't make out his face, but she saw him grab Eliza's arm roughly. There was a struggle. Eliza tried to pull away, but the man was too strong and he pushed her. She fell, tumbling down the ravine as the man watched. And then the vision was gone. Margaret gasped, her breath visible in the cold air. The truth of what she had seen burned into her mind. Eliza hadn't fallen at all. She had been pushed. Shaken, Margaret went to Samuel with what she had seen. Someone had murdered her, but who? They thought back to Eliza's life, to the people she had known, the men she had courted, and one name came to the forefront. Billy Turner. He had been sweet on Eliza for years, but she had always rejected his advances. Recently, though, his behavior had turned more aggressive. Thank you, Misbehavin'. Thank you. He had been seen arguing with her in town just days before her death. Billy Turner was a hot-headed young man known for his temper and jealous streak. He had always been obsessed with Eliza, and Samuel and Margaret now feared that his obsession had turned deadly. That night, Eliza's whispers returned, clearer than ever. Billy. Billy. It was all the confirmation they needed. Eliza's ghost was pointing them towards the killer. Armed with this revelation, Samuel and Margaret went to the sheriff, but they knew that without solid evidence, their claims would be dismissed as superstition. So, they decided to confront Billy Turner themselves. They found him at a local tavern nursing a drink by the fire. When they approached him, he sneered at them, his eyes bloodshot. Margaret felt a wave of fear wash over her, but Samuel stood firm. "We know what you did, Billy," Samuel said, his voice steady. "Eliza didn't fall. You pushed her." Billy's face went pale, and for a moment, he looked like a cornered animal. Then he laughed, a low, bitter sound. "You're crazy. You can't prove anything." Margaret stepped forward, her voice trembling but fierce. "Eliza told us what you did." Billy's eyes darted around the room, the weight of guilt settling on his shoulders. His hand shook, and he looked like he might bolt for the door. But Samuel grabbed him by the collar, forcing him to meet his gaze. "Tell the truth, Billy, or I swear I'll make sure everyone in this town knows what you are." For a long moment, Billy said nothing. And then with a broken sob, he confessed. He had followed Eliza that day, determined to confront her about rejecting him. And in his rage, he had pushed her, not meaning to kill her, but the moment she fell, he panicked and fled. What a man. Billy Turner's confession shocked the entire town, but it also brought a strange sense of relief. Eliza's death was no longer a mystery, and justice was finally served. Billy was arrested and tried and sentenced for his crime. As for Eliza's spirit, the whispers stopped right after Billy's confession. Samuel and Margaret visited her grave one last time, and as they stood beneath the weeping willow tree, they felt a sense of peace that had eluded them for so long. "Eliza," Margaret whispered into the cold night air. "We did it. You're free." The wind rustled through the branches of the willow, and for a brief moment, they both felt a warm presence, a final goodbye from their beloved Eliza. And then she was gone. And that's the tale of the ghost who solved her own murder. Thank you, Bifrost. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I am here every night from 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. I do write and record all of these stories myself, and you can listen to them whenever you would like on my YT channel, as well as all of the podcast streaming sites. Just look for Porch Lore and you will find me. Hi, Rachel. Oh, Rich gave me corn. Yum. Good night. Barara. And thank you, JR. Alright, guys, I am going to set up the next poll for us to vote for the next story. If you could do me a big favor and hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. Thank you, Anna. Welcome to the porch. There is a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts the live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. Also, sharing your stories and sharing with your friends helps too, and tapping the screen. And I will be right back with the next poll. So grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock, sit back and relax, and welcome to the porch. Yeah, Rachel, how was your trip? Austin, this background music doesn't have a name. It's my licensed background music that I made for just my stories. Matt, go on, y'all hit that yeller yin yang circle thingy. You know you wanna. That's what he was saying. Yeller means yellow. I speak redneck too. Good night, Jamie. Spooky Sonata. That's a great fucking name, Rich. I love that. I love that. Because I also love the Moonlit Sonata. I love that song so much. Such good names, Rich. I love it. All right, you guys, the next poll is ready. We have the Maintenance Man, the Door in the Water, Booger Hollow, Names in the Logbook, and the Hitchhiker. You can vote in the blue box in the top left-hand corner. You can vote up to 50 times, and you can vote for more than one story. Who's it gonna be? We have the Maintenance Man, the Door in the Water, Booger Hollow, Names in the Logbook, and the Hitchhiker. It'll be in the top left-hand corner, Billy. It's hiding under the stupid universe pink banner because TikTok's ridiculous. But if you move that pink banner out of the way, you will see it. Because this app is horribly designed. Oh, thanks, Matt. That's so sweet. Thank you, Rich. Rich, how's your wife doing? Is she happy ever since the AC got fixed? Right, Skrilla? They love them. Hi, lovely. You're so cute. That's okay. Thanks for listening. I love you. Yeah, Rich, that's very sweet of you. Had to massage her neck. That's a good husband. Glad you got the AC fixed. Thank you, Maria. All right, guys, the maintenance man is the winner. I will be right back. Tap into my Asian ancestors. I love that. Yeah, I love that. Also, guys, don't forget we're going to raid Daza's live after this. Daza, could you say hi so we can pin you and you guys can follow? And a raid is just when we go over there and say hey and we hang out and listen. And he plays vintage radio shows that are spooky and it's fun. He also dabbles in writing his own, and they're pretty good. The last one he did was a style I really like, and he did a really good job. It's a hard style of storytelling to do, and he did a really good job. And yes, Justin. Justin said my therapist loves him because Justin gets scared of it. His stories are very much scarier than mine because they're like old radio shows and they have a lot more of like human fear stuff. And you know, they're much more of like he murdered his wife and you know, stories like that. And Justin's always on the edge of his seat. He's like, I need to go to my therapist. I can't handle it. I know that one night though, that story was even crazy for me. I was like, what is which story was it? I was like, what the? Like, it was a crazy one. It was a really crazy one. So feel free to join us over there after my live. We're going to go over there and hang out with him. He lives in Bulgaria, but he's British and he's lovely. Me too, Rachel. Oh, Rachel, Lovely was looking for you earlier. He's right there, pinned. Yeah, he says it only happens with the Porch Crew. But you're the one that chooses the radio shows. So you choose scary ones. I can't even remember the one that blew my mind. There was one where I was like, what? And none of us were expecting it to be what it was. We were like, oh shit. Oh, don't be sorry, Rach. I just wanted to tell you Lovely was looking for you. I was passing on the message. Don't be sorry at all, girl. You have a life. I think so too, Justin. Winter, that means that those gifts are going away soon. That's why I picked the dress, because that means the dress isn't going to be a gift much longer. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale. Oh my God. Beefy. That was so cute. Oh my God. Was that an otter in heart sunglasses? I love otters. Oh my God. That was so cute. Thank you. He was playing a video game. That blue dress. Otters are nasty. What? Excuse me, sir? Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the maintenance man. Nehemiah, I don't have to look it up. I know quite a bit about otters, and I don't think they're nasty at all. I love them. You'd rather have a puffin? Puffins are cute. But they're not otters. I've lived in apartment complexes my whole adult life. College years, post-grad limbo, that weird phase where you think you'll buy a house soon, but you never quite do. So, by now, I've seen my share of flickering hallway lights, weird neighbors, and overly familiar building managers. But nothing ever prepared me for what happened at Tower Hill Apartments. Congratulations, Nehemiah. It started right after I moved in. Early March, rainy season in North Carolina. I'd been living with a roommate in Durham, but after a bad breakup and a worse job transfer, I took the first one-bedroom I could find. Tower Hill was cheap, had a decent view of a creek. And if you know me, I'm obsessed with natural bodies of water. And it was only 15 minutes from my new office. The only catch was that it was old. Not the charming old that I usually look for. No, this place was just the unmaintained kind of old. The kind of place with water stains on the ceiling, mailboxes that didn't lock, and dumpsters that stayed full no matter how often they got emptied. But affordable rent is hard to find in a short time frame, and I wasn't really in the position to be picky. My first interaction with the building's maintenance man was when my kitchen light went out. I'd only been there 4 days. I submitted a work request online like the leasing office told me to, and about an hour later I heard a knock. He introduced himself as Charlie, mid-50s, beard that looked like steel wool, and wore a gray shirt with a faded patch that said staff. He didn't talk much, just nodded when I explained the issue. Climbed up on my counter without asking and replaced the light bulb with a bulb he pulled out of his pocket. And that was the first time I noticed the smell. Something about him reeked, like rust and mold. Not body odor, he smelled like metal or something. But I didn't say anything. He fixed the light, climbed up the counter, nodded at me again, and left. I saw him again 3 days later. I was getting my mail after work, and I saw him crouched behind the building, facing away from me. It was getting dark, but I could see that he was messing with something on the wall, prying open a metal grate with what looked like a screwdriver. I called out to him casually like, "Hey, Charlie." But he didn't turn around. He didn't even flinch. He just kept fiddling with the grate like I wasn't even there. Okay, weird, but harmless. Or so I thought. The next night, I was woken up by a sound. A dull thump, like something hitting my front door. I checked the people. No one. I opened the door a crack and there was nothing there. Just the hallway, light buzzing and flickering like it always did. When I looked down, though, there was a small black object sitting on my doormat. A key. Thank you, Crystal. Not my apartment key. It was long, narrow, old-fashioned, brass. I left it in the kitchen counter and went back to bed, unnerved but too tired to really care at that point. The next morning, I took the key down to the leasing office. The receptionist was new and barely glanced at it before saying it probably belonged to an old unit or storage shed. She offered to take it off my hands, and I said I'd hold on to it just in case. That night, my bedroom light turned on by itself. I woke up around 2 a.m. to full brightness. Even though I never used the overhead fixture, I always used the lamp beside my bed. I sat up, my heart pounding. I looked around and the door was closed and there was nothing out of place. But the light switch had been flipped on and I live alone. At first I told myself maybe I had just bumped it on my way to bed. Maybe I had been more tired than I thought, but then I noticed my closet door was open. Just a few inches, but I always closed the door to my closet. I didn't sleep the rest of the night. By the next morning, I'd almost convinced myself that maybe it was nothing. Maybe the lock didn't catch all the way. But when I went to brush my teeth, I found a single smudged fingerprint on the mirror, too high to be mine and too wide. Hi, Tanya. I emailed the leasing office again and I told them that I thought someone might have entered my unit. They said they'd look into it, but I didn't hold my breath. That Friday, I got home late around 11:30 and was walking up the stairs when I saw something strange. My apartment door was open, just wide enough to see the corner of my coffee table. Oh my God. I froze. I knew I'd locked it. I'm OCD and I'm a woman who lives alone. I always double check. My keys with my mace keychain were in my hand and my heart was racing. I crept up to the door and I pushed it open slowly. The apartment was dark and quiet, but something was off. My skin started prickling with goosebumps, the kind of instinctive full body alert that tells you something's wrong. So I listened, and I quickly backed out of my apartment, shut the door, and I called the police from my car. They came and did a sweep. Nothing was stolen. Nothing was broken, and there were no signs of forced entry. They told me it was probably a maintenance worker who forgot to lock up after a routine inspection. When I asked what inspection, they didn't have an answer. Hi, CJ. Then I asked if there was a man named Charlie on the building staff. And they told me there was no one by that name working there. What? I didn't sleep that night. I didn't sleep much at all for the next week or so. Beefy, that was a good one. Then, the smell started showing up again. I'd walk into the bathroom and catch a whiff of that same moldy coppery scent. I come out to my kitchen in the mornings and my dishes would be rearranged. My bedroom blinds would be open slightly when I knew I'd close them. I'd hear sounds at night, like soft dragging and footsteps in the hallway. Sometimes I'd even hear the front door clicking softly like someone was trying it from the outside. Then came the knocking, every night at 3 a.m. Just 3 slow knocks on the front door, never less and never more. I stopped checking. I just curled under my blankets and I prayed for morning. And yes, Skrilla, that's exactly what the smell is. One night, after a particularly bad episode, I drove to my friend Riley's place across town. I told her I needed a few nights away. I didn't tell her the real reason. I just said I was having plumbing issues and she didn't press it any further. That night at her place, I slept straight through the night. It was amazing. No knocking, no lights turning on, no smells. I stayed for 3 glorious days. I finally broke down and told Riley about what had been happening. And her jaw dropped. She told me that I was not safe and that I should go back, grab some of my things from my apartment and come back and stay with her until we get this figured out. I'm so lucky to have a friend like her. When I finally went back to my apartment to pick up my clothes and other belongings, I found something weird. Pinned to my door with a nail was a piece of paper. No envelope, just folded once with my name scrawled in shaky handwriting across the front. Inside was a note that read, "You shouldn't have left." Below that, drawn in smeared pencil, was the shape of that old brass key. The hell? I opened the door slowly. The apartment was quiet and ice cold. I stepped inside and I found everything normal. Too normal. The kind of staged normal, like someone had tried to reset the space. The books on the shelf were out of order. My coffee mugs were all turned the same way, and I'm not that perfect. My toothbrush was on the charger when I usually leave it in the shower. And on the table, right in the center, was that key. I left it that night. Paid the penalty, didn't care, and I moved in with Riley for good after that. But 2 weeks later, Riley got curious. She said she wanted to go by the apartment and snoop before my lease was up. See what she could find. She never came back. They found her car in the parking lot, the keys in the ignition. Her purse was in the passenger seat, and her phone had a final photo on it taken at 3 a.m. It was a blurry shot of my old front door, and standing just to the side of the frame was a man. A gray shirt, faded staff patch, half of his face visible, and grinning. When the cops checked the apartment again, they found a hidden panel in the back of my bedroom closet. It led into the walls. Inside were old food wrappers, empty water bottles, and a nest of blankets. In the middle of it all, stuck to the wall with duct tape, was a Polaroid of me sleeping. They never found Charlie, and they never found Riley. I moved out of town after that, and I never looked back. And that's the tale of the maintenance man. Welcome in, everybody. My name is Devin, and this is Porch Lore, and I tell spooky bedtime stories to help you relax your nervous system and fall asleep. And I'm here every single night at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 in the morning. Hi, big ol' head of lettuce. How you doing? Long time no see. No, Anna, we're done with the polls. I'm just going to go to the diner story. And it is time for the Sycamore Diner story. If you guys would do me a favor and hit that share arrow in the bottom right-hand corner. There's a little yellow circle with 2 arrows chasing each other that says repost. And that puts my live into your friends' FYPs, and it helps us grow this beautiful porch of ours. CJ, you're so weird. What, Scrolla? What? CJ, you missed Eliza earlier. You missed Eliza. None of them are any of yours because you guys don't own women. Has the deer woman taught you nothing? Like, be careful saying that shit about her. She'll stomp your ass. CJ, okay. Yeah, I believe that, CJ. I believe that. CJ wants to get stomped. I know. CJ wants her to stomp his face in. He's like, dude, she can own me. Hi, Fairy Witch. Have a good night, Anna. Hi, Jasmine. How you doing, Lovebug? Thank you, Nehemiah. I appreciate that. Oh, and Maleficent says to watch out for sharp objects such as needles or spindles. Good job, Fairy Witch. Beefy, thank you for writing keywords. Why, Jasmine? What's going on with back to school? And thank you, Bifrost. All right, guys, it's time for the Sycamore Diner. Grab a beanbag chair, grab a hammock. Sit back and relax. And welcome to the porch. Morgan, like that comment. Huh? Oh, Mothman. Oh, Mothman. I was like, who's Morgan? Amy, thanks for the follow. Welcome to the porch. And if you are new here, we end every live with this story because it's everybody's favorite. And it was requested so often that I just decided to end the lives with it. And then everybody didn't ever want me to stop. So it's become a beloved story. We have characters. There's an entire section of my merch line dedicated just to this story because we love it so much. So if you're new here, congratulations. You're about to join our fun little weird thing we do at the end of the night. So buckle up and enjoy. Plus, last time I tried to stop telling the story, Justin called his therapist and 911. So, like Matt said, we have to keep Justin sane. Rachel, thank you for Merlin's treat fund. You're so cute. I love when you do that. He's not in here, but I'm going to tell him. Thank you, Wanderlust Fairy. All the fairies coming tonight. Thank you for being here. Yeah, Daz for sure does. I will tell him. Did you see him today on the Wednesday live? Or no, you didn't. You couldn't make it, did you? Oh, Nehemiah, Merlin's my husband's name. And Rachel likes to give him $5 for treats. They really are expensive, Rach, and those are his favorite, the yellow ones. He's obsessed. And greenies, which are also expensive. Submitted for the approval of the Porch Pal Society. This is the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. I don't know why CJ, because he likes to. He can do whatever he wants. I'm not going to judge how he drinks water. Most men don't drink water at all, so he's ahead of most of y'all. I'm not usually the kind of person who pulls over on back roads at night. Not unless I absolutely have to. But that night, something about the storm, the long drive, and that growling pit in my stomach convinced me otherwise. I was hungry. It was late October, and I was headed back to campus after a weekend visit with my friends in North Carolina. I had a midterm on Monday, and my plan had been to drive straight through. 5 hours, no stops. Thank you, Eric. But then came the rain. One of those cold, slanted, whispery rains that creeps into your bones and makes the windshield wipers sound like a heartbeat. Thank you, last lost boy. I had taken the wrong exit, trying to bypass traffic, and I ended up on a 2-lane back road. Just surrounded by nothing but pine trees and power lines. And that's when I saw the neon sign. SYCAMRE Diner. The O in Sycamore was flickering like it hadn't worked right in years, but the rest was lit up in a cherry red neon. A tiny beacon in the middle of nowhere. I figured I'd grab a quick bite, maybe some coffee, check my map and get back on the highway. But I should have just kept driving. Thank you, Wanderlust. Thank you, Ariel. I should have known something was off the second I stepped inside. The bell over the door jingled, but not like a normal bell. It made this sharp metallic ping that echoed longer than it should have. The air inside was warm, almost too warm, and it smelled like grilled onions and pancake syrup. The place looked like it had been yanked straight from 1957. Checkerboard floor, red vinyl booths, CJ, and a long counter with spinning stools. Even a jukebox in the corner that looked like it hadn't worked in decades. And the people, they all stopped and looked at me the second I walked in. Not in a rude way, just quiet. Like they weren't expecting me. Like I had walked into the middle of a sentence that no one wanted to finish. A waitress, tall, with a beehive hairdo and a light blue uniform, smiled and waved me over. "You get caught in the rain, sweetheart," she said, handing me a laminated menu. I nodded, still trying to shake off that weird feeling. Yeah, the highway's a mess. She chuckled and patted my shoulder. "Well, you're safe here. Sycamore's always open for travelers." I sat down at a corner booth, and the vinyl creaked. I remember the jukebox shifted songs by itself and started playing some slow doo-wop ballad that I didn't recognize. Skrilla. I looked around and everyone looked normal, sort of. There was a trucker with a thick gray beard drinking coffee at the counter. A young couple whispering to each other in a booth by the jukebox. And an older woman stirring tea like she was lost in thought. But they all had the same look in their eyes, like they were there, but also somewhere else. Like they were watching me out of the corner of their eyes, even when they were looking down. Fairy witch, probably. The waitress came back with coffee, strong, hot, and surprisingly good. And I ordered a grilled cheese with fries. Simple, safe. Yay, Rachel. She wrote it down with one of those clicky pens and said, "Don't worry, it's on the house tonight." And that was my second red flag. No diner just gives food away. While I waited, I took out my phone to check the map. No signal, and I mean nothing. No bars, no Wi-Fi, not even GPS. Just a blank screen with a spinning wheel. I glanced out the foggy window. The storm was still going. But now, the wind had picked up, and I could see the power lines swaying like jump ropes in the dark. Hi, millennials. But the diner stayed perfectly lit, not even a flicker. The food came fast, too fast, like under 5 minutes, but it looked amazing. Golden bread, gooey cheese, crispy fries with a little metal cup of ketchup on the side. I took a bite. Delicious. I mean, I've eaten at a lot of diners, greasy spoons, college joints, and roadside shacks, but this was hands down the best grilled cheese I've ever had. The fries were perfect. The coffee never ran out. Every time I took a sip, it was somehow full again. I was halfway through the sandwich when the trucker got up to leave. He walked right past my table, nodded once, and whispered, "Don't stay past midnight." That's all he said. What? But he was already out the door. The waitress gave me a tight smile and walked over, collecting his empty mug. Old Earl, he's always saying weird stuff. Just ignore him. But I couldn't. Something about his voice stuck with me. Something about the way he looked at me. Not like I was a customer, but like I was in danger. I checked the clock over the register. 11:42. I figured I had just enough time to finish my fries, grab the check, and head out. I still had at least 3 hours left on the road. But when I stood up, the lights flickered just once and then again. And then everything in the diner stopped moving. The couple by the jukebox froze mid-sentence. The woman with the tea stopped stirring, her spoon hanging in midair. The waitress, her hand reached out for a mug, just stopped, like someone had paused on the entire scene. I took a step back and the jukebox buzzed, glitched, and restarted a new track. I could still move, but no one else could. And then I heard it. Not music, not a storm, a voice. Not coming from anyone I could see. Just a whisper that seemed to echo from the walls themselves. I backed toward the door, my heart hammering in my chest. I turned the knob, locked. Of course it was locked. I tried the windows, but they were sealed shut. I started banging on the glass and shouting, but no one was outside. Just the wind and the rain and that flickering red sign. SYCAMRE. Thank you, Dawn. Good morning. I turned back toward the dining room, and everyone was gone. Not frozen anymore, just gone. The booths were empty. No plates, no crumbs, no mugs. No sign that anyone had ever even been there. Except for my plate. Still warm. And still half eaten. And then I saw the waitress. She was standing by the kitchen doors, her silhouette backlit by a flickering fluorescent light. Her face was wrong. The same smile, but her eyes were empty, black and endless, like someone had painted over them. "You shouldn't be here, honey," she said in that same cheerful voice. "Not yet." I stumbled back, knocking over a chair, as she took one slow step toward me. "The others, they were waiting, but you just wandered in." She raised a hand and the walls began to shimmer. Literally shimmer, like heat waves on asphalt. The checkered floor rippled and the red booths started to fade, becoming outlines, and then shadows, and then nothing. And then I saw it, underneath the illusion. It was charred wood, cracked tile, broken beams, and black soot. Like the diner had burned down long ago. I ran. I don't even remember how I got out. 1 second I was inside, and the next I was on the side of the road, soaked to the bone and gasping for air. My car was still there, pulled up with the ceiling missing, parked on gravel that didn't even look like a lot anymore. Just weeds and puddles. No neon sign, no glowing windows, just nothing. Thanks, Justin. I drove back to campus that night in silence. No 2 Chainz, no Porch Lore podcast. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror, half expecting to see that red neon flicker back to life. I didn't tell anyone, not for weeks. Not until I finally looked up Sycamore Diner on a local history site, and I found it. It burned to the ground in 1972. A gas leak. The whole place went up at midnight, and everyone inside was killed. 5 patrons, a waitress, and a cook. The photo in the article? The same checkerboard floor, the same red boots, the same neon sign. SYCAMORE. And in the corner of the photo, that same waitress, smiling. I never took that back road again. I don't even drive at night anymore if I can help it. And every time I see a neon diner sign, something in me flinches just a little, because I know I was there. And I know I wasn't supposed to be. But the part that keeps me up sometimes, the part that really makes my stomach turn, that was the best damn grilled cheese I've ever had. And I didn't even pay for it. And that's the tale of the night shift at Sycamore Diner. Thank you for spending your evenings with me. Hello? Is it Kylan? Hello. Thank you for spending your evenings with me, guys. I love you, Porch Pals. I will see you again tomorrow. Same time, same place, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time until about 1 o'clock. Every single night I'm here. If you had fun tonight, don't forget to follow me and subscribe if you're over on YT. Tiger Girl, thank you for the follow. Welcome to the porch. And Justin just pinned the account we will be raiding right after my live ends. We go over there, we go, Porch Lore raid! And, oh, Rochelle, that's okay. I love you. I hope you're okay. So, thank you, Mr. Abraham. All right, you guys. So, we're going to go over to Dazeth. We're going to porch raid. And I will see you guys again tomorrow. Thank you so much. I love spending my evenings with you guys. And if you can't fall asleep, you can always check out my bedtime stories playlist on my YT channel, and you will be out by like the second story. Thank you, Mr. Abraham, for the follow. Welcome to the porch. I will see you guys again tomorrow, 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Love you guys. Get some good sleep, and don't forget, stay spooky.